Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Everybody in Facebook, man, my God, what a day. As we're coming on, just get those thumbs up, those hearts up. It's good to see you tonight. A lot is going on in the world. A whole lot is going on in the world. There's a whole lot going on, and we're going to talk about a little bit of it tonight. Tonight is our first Bible study of 2021. So those of you who are watching, welcome. If you just put in the comment line where you are watching from, this is our first AME Oakland, our first Bible study of the year. And I will be honest, I had plans to go one direction, but because of the events of the day and what's happening in these United States, we are going to talk about a few things, and I'll let you vent and get some things off your chest. If you have a question while we are live on the air, I have Reverend T here with me, helping to assist, and she'll get me the question. But for those of you who are coming on, I need you to hit that share button. We are also live on YouTube, so call somebody. We'll be on for a few minutes. Call somebody, text somebody, tell them it's Bible study tonight. That's right, it's Bible study, the first Bible study of 2021. So come on, family, get them thumbs up, put them hearts up. Where y'all checking in from? Let's talk about a few things. We're going to jump right into it. I'm going to offer the scripture for tonight, and then I got a couple of things I want to talk to you about that is absolutely important as we are facing a time in history that we have never faced before. So here's my text, Galatians chapter 5, verse 13, and this is what the word of the Lord says. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. You were called to be free. You were called to be free. But do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. You were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather serve one another. How? Humbly in love. And so tonight, using the current events that have happened today, I really want to dive into this conversation. I've had conversations with a few friends and a few family members, and everybody is like, man, we've never seen this. If this was, and for those of you who are watching, we're talking about the events that happened on Capitol Hill. There's a lot of feelings in the black community because we have all been in situations where we know the outcome probably would have been a whole lot different if we had marched into the Capitol. What's going on in America? What does this mean spiritually? I also don't want you to lose focus of the election last night that took place in Georgia. I have friends who do not vote. To all of my friends who do not vote, I have voted consistently since I was 18 and when I was old enough to vote. And I just want to say, this is a real awakening that's happening on the earth. It's a huge awakening. And I think everything that happened today is symbolic in some form or fashion to where the world is, but most in particular what God is doing in this earth realm. And I have been saying, and I have been believing this for a long time since we've been in this pandemic, since March, that there's something being snuffed out. There's something spiritual that's happening, although at times it doesn't feel like it. I mean, one would make the argument, where is God when so many people are dying in this pandemic? When people have not worked, when people have been furloughed, when people are losing jobs, when I just want to remind everybody that we are still in this pandemic. Domestic violence is at an all-time high. Alcoholism is at an all-time high. People are depressed. People are stressed out. People have lost lives. Many family members that I know personally, and as a pastor, have done a COVID death, a death that was caused by COVID, where families were not even able to say bye to their loved ones. So we are really living in some unusual times. But I want to go back to this text. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. You were called to be free. And freedom is an interesting thing because freedom is the one thing on the earth that people will fight for, lose their life for, because freedom is a God-given right. Freedom is a God-given right. And one of the consistent things that I have been asked today is, Pastor, what do we do? What does this mean? What's going on? And I just want to encourage those of you who are watching tonight that whenever there is chaos, whether it be in government, whether it be in your home, whether it be in your life, God always presents us with an opportunity to do something. My people, I need you to get that tonight. Because for so long we have been asleep at the wheel, watching and examining the world like outside of ourselves and not being participants in what's really happening on this earth. And I want you to know tonight that in the midst of everything that's happening in America, in the midst of what happened on Capitol Hill, you have a choice to do something. One of the things that I'm going to be preaching about in the month of January, and I gave it as a point on my New Year's Eve service, was action. Action. Because we have been reactive to so many things. We react to a whole lot of stuff. We react, and oftentimes we're not prepared or have planned for what it is that we want to do, which is why I want to go to Georgia. I moved to Atlanta when I graduated from high school, from Normie High School in St. Louis, Missouri, St. Louis, the Lou stand-up, and lived in Georgia all of my adult life until moving to California 3 months ago. And I was able to vote for Stacey Abrams when she ran for governor. But last night you saw something happen. You saw minorities vote in massive numbers. In fact, the exit polls showed that 100,000 more African American people voted than who voted in November. I need that to sink in. And with Stacey Abrams, and I've seen a lot of people giving her props on Facebook, but I want to highlight something else about Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams is an organizer and a planner. And one of the places that I think, especially us as African Americans, where we get lost in the sauce is, we got to do a better job at planning and organizing, because we are emotional people. I mean, something happened to us, we ready to march, we ready to fight, we ready to protest. But one of the things that has given us such significant advances in this modern day time is our ability to organize, our ability to mobilize. And one of the strongest things that ever happened, I pastored in the state of Alabama for 12 years. And one of the most significant things that happened in the civil rights movement was the Montgomery boycott. The Montgomery boycott. It not only was organized and supported, not just by African Americans, but a lot of other people supported that movement. But what is not talked about, stay with me people, is the economic devastation that it caused, that caused people who were oppressing to wake up. And so the word says, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. And my question to you tonight is, you might have all kinds of emotions. You may be angry. You may be feeling a certain way about what you saw. But do you understand what freedom is? And if you understand what freedom is and you understand what God is saying to you, you must decide tonight before you go to sleep, I've got to organize myself and take action on something. Because if you're not organized and you're not taking action on something, the bottom line is you're going to keep getting the same thing you're getting. This is not the time to fold your head, to fold your hands, to play on the sideline, but to actively get involved. Now, where do you get involved? Number one, your own context. What is your context? Where do you live? What are the problems you face? What are the emotions and visions that you feel about yourself that you feel like your life is called to? So anything that you've experienced in your life, my sister, my brother, God has strategically allowed you to be in this position where you can organize and take action on something. If it's women's rights, organize, take action. If it's writing, organize, take action. I was just what's the name of the talk show? I mean, the show that you just watched on, I'm talking to Reverend T. We just talking tonight on Netflix. The Bridgerton series that's on Netflix. And I was reading about that, and I did not understand that my sister, Shonda Rhimes, was a part of that show. And the reason that is significant is because she has been a mogul on television doing a lot of the ABC series. Now, her gifting is writing. Her gifting is being able to bring these dramas to us that it becomes must-see TV, and we can't get enough of it. And so the point of the matter is she has discovered and organized her life in a way where she has taken action on the things that mean something to her. And that's what I'm asking you to do tonight. Don't watch CNN and Fox News and get a reaction and an emotion by what you saw happen on Capitol Hill without you understanding that God has a purpose for you. And you got to organize where? In your context. What's your context? Huh? Where you at, people of God? Or for the sister who has experienced domestic violence, your call may be in the field of that context. For the brother who's ever lost a job, for the brother who's gone through a broken relationship, for the brother who has the gift in writing, for the brother who is skilled with his hands and knows how to do things. It may be entrepreneurship. For the sister who is passionate about children, it may be starting your own school or daycare center. For the young person who's gifted in poetry and writing, your context is right in front of you. What are you facing in 2021 right now today that you need to organize and take action? And so I'm going to give it to you again. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. That's your birthright, freedom. Freedom is your birthright. You shouldn't be born into a world and then have to fight for something that God already gave you. You were born free. But here it is. Watch this. Here's the second part of that text. It says, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Now that's where we see the world in the chaos that it's in now, because America has become fleshy. Now, I'm not hating on nobody. This ain't about throwing shade and none of that. But come on, people of God. When we are more enthused about watching reality shows than taking care of business, that's problematic. And I'm not saying that people who are on reality shows are bad. I'm not even getting into that. But I'm just saying the text says that the flesh causes us to miss freedom. And we think about this America that we now live in, and even Jesus said, you're going to be in this world, but don't be of the world. And we have become so in love with everything we see in this world. We are in love with name brand, in love with all of these things that don't have our name on it. We are in love with material things that we believe is these material things that gives us status. And what have we lost? We have lost our pure freedom to be human. And it is so bad and so sick now that we don't even feel pain when we hear of homicide, when we hear somebody has been murdered, when we hear somebody has been robbed. Because we have been programmed so much that these are everyday occurrences that we don't even feel the emotion of that. Now let that sink in for a moment. And so tonight, I just wanted to get on, talk to you for a few minutes, drop this scripture, and get you thinking about some things that are important to you. When you're frustrated, when you feel like you don't know where to go, when you feel like, man, I know it's got to be more to life than this. One of the things that we always overlook is our context. What do you mean, Pastor? What's sitting in front of you right now? What problems did you wake up with? What circumstances did you wake up with? What things in your life can you go to that you have been through that maybe God is saying to you, if you just deal with what's in front of you, you will come to know your greater self. And so, yes, I have protested. Yes, I have tried to stand up and be an example of a black man. I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. All of us have fallen short. Yes, I have tried to raise my family and be a family. Yes, I've tried all of those things. But it occurred to me today as I was watching the news and I was seeing the mob storm the Capitol. It dawned on me as a black man that in 2021, that today it is clear to me that the race relations in America and some of the things that you see happening between the police and black men and some of the injustices of the world comes down to one simple fact. I can't change people, but what I can change is me. And I have a responsibility to serve in the context that God put me in. And here's the beauty. God made me black. And he didn't only just make me black. I mean, he really made me like dark-skinned chocolate black. So like, it ain't even no doubt about it. And then I got this, whatever this is. So he gave me that. And so I can't run from my responsibility of being and living in my context. Now I'm saying that to encourage somebody watching. What's your context? Sister? Brother? Where did you grow up? Where do you live? What job do you go to on a day-to-day basis? What experiences do you have? What things are you facing that bring you back to this text? You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. That's your God-given right. But check it out. But do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. And that's how America got here. We've been living in the flesh. So let's talk about a few things. I'll acknowledge some people who is on, and we'll get off tonight. Let's talk about Georgia. All right. So shout out to the HBCUs. I'm a product of an HBCU. Morris Brown College completely transformed my life. And I would not be the person who I am today had it not been for Morris Brown College. I was born and raised in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. I grew up in Bethel AME Church in St. Louis, Missouri. My mom was a pastor. When she became a pastor, I then went to her church, Parks Chapel, St. Louis, Missouri Conference. Stand up. But here's what I learned about being at an HBCU. I learned that people care. I learned that people care. And so I want to give a shout out to Sister Dolly, Sister Shannon, Sister Cheryl, Sister Mary. Hey, y'all. God bless you. Thank you for being on. I learned that people care. And on last night, it dawned on me that we got to go back to supporting the things that we created. Morris Brown College was established in 1881. Let that sink in for a moment. In the 1800s, black people were still getting lynched. Okay? But they had so much forward thinking and so much vision that they understood the power that their efforts would make. And that's what we've gotten away from. The power that your efforts will make. How do you get to that? Organize, take action. So shout out to Sister, hey Mama G from Philly, watching. Our trail is on. Shout out to all y'all who's on. I'm trying to see. It's dark. Y'all bear with me. It's hot. I'm trying to work this thing out. Social media, technology, calm down. I'm trying to give you a shout out. But I don't want to lose my point. Last night, we had elected a pastor who went to Morehouse College, HBCU. The vice president, who grew up in the Bay Area, went to Howard. Shout out to Howard. You went to Howard, you went to Morehouse. All right? And then the sister who conducted and made the whole thing work was Sister Stacey Abrams, who went to Spelman College. Now, I want to show you something. Whenever there's a door shut in your face, whenever you are being oppressed, whenever somebody is telling you no, the lesson that I got from last night is, if you get mad and do something. If you're mad about something in your life, do something tomorrow. Do something tonight. What did she do? She organized and took action. And that's the missing link for all of us. Organize, take action. Stop getting stuck on stupid stuff. We stuck on what somebody said. We stuck about what people talking about on social media. We stuck on family stuff. We stuck on stupid. Y'all, look, wake up. I need you to put this in context. People left a Donald Trump rally, marched down the street, infiltrated the United States Capitol. And look, they were at the Capitol for 2.5 hours, doing what they do. They organized, they took action. I don't agree with it, but the point I'm trying to make to you tonight is, what is your context? When I say context, what are you facing? What's in front of you? What are you doing? So, take action, organize, take action. Let's take some questions. What y'all feel tonight? I'm going to ask Reverend T to help me here. If you feel anything, if you want to say anything, if you have a question for me in regards to what's going on in the nation, I'm going to offer a prayer and we're going to get off. I just want everybody to know this is our first Bible study of the year, and sometimes life happens where we got to go another way. It's been rough. Everybody got a lot of emotions. But listen, people of God, if we don't do something, if we don't get organized, if we don't take action on something, we're going to be spinning our wheels. And so now is not the time to not know what to do. Now is not the time for you to just sit back and be quiet. Now is the time for you to face your context. Whatever your context in life is, you got to face it. Whatever you're facing today, whatever you wake up to tomorrow, you got to face that. And you got to organize yourself, organize your life, and tell yourself tonight, I'm taking action. Why? Because you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. But do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another how? Humbly in love. And that's what I'm going to end with, that last part. Don't indulge in the flesh, but serve one another. How? Humbly in love. See? Black community, we got to have love for one another. We got to support one another. We're the only people that always come up with an excuse when it comes to us why we don't support each other. They're not black enough. They're not dark enough. They're not this enough. They're not rich enough. They're not poor enough. They're not hip enough. Please, y'all, stop it. This is the season where God's word says to me, brother, sister, you're called to be free. You ain't got to ask for freedom. You ain't got to beg for freedom. Listen, it's your God-given right to be free. But he says, Paul says in this, what? Don't get caught up in the flesh. Because when you get caught up in the flesh, you all the way messed up. You're done if you get caught up in the flesh. But serve each other. How? With love. I need 10 of y'all tomorrow to wake up to tomorrow, God's willing, and say, to the day, how can I serve you? Questions, comments, concerns before I get off here. We got anything? Y'all say something before we get off. How y'all feeling? How you doing? Is everybody good? Your mental state good? You healthy? You feeling fine? An alarming thing happened this past weekend in Southern California, where my wife is from. It's gotten so bad with COVID that they told the ambulance, don't even transport a person who's struggling to breathe. Let that sink in for a second. If the person doesn't look like they're gonna make it, don't even transport them to the hospital. So I just want to tell everybody, I love y'all. This is our first Bible study, our virtual Bible study. How do you get past the fear? Fear is real. Fear is difficult. But I think one of the things that where we get stuck is we don't look for other options. Like when something happens to you, and particularly something that will cause you fear, we tend to think that the fear is the final option. So I want to encourage you that fear is not your final option. There's always other options. And sometimes fear doesn't let you see that there's another way, that there's another door. And so I would step back from fear and organize myself in a way where you got to start asking yourself questions. And the questions that I would encourage you to ask is, what's the bigger picture? Because oftentimes we make fear so big we can't see anything else. And when you step back, when you really get organized and clear about your intentions, then the more organized you get and the more action you take on just the little things, the smaller fear becomes. So that's a good question. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, thoughts, concerns? All right. I'm getting ready to sign off. Galatians 5:13. I want you to read it tonight. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. I serve you in love. One thing about me, I know exactly what I'm called to do. And that is speak to you what I hear God speaking to me. I've been called to preach the gospel. I've been called to inspire the word through my passion and through my excitement and enthusiasm for the things that God has done in my life. My challenge to you is, what's your context? And now is the time to get absolutely focused. Now is the time to have razor sharp vision. We don't have time to be fooling around, playing around, jerking around. Now is the time we got to get organized and we got to start taking action. So I speak over you tonight. Peace.
Is one's context same as purpose?
Is one context same as purpose? It can be, but not always necessarily. And so what I mean by that is your context, and let me define context. Context is the space or the place that you presently live. So I'm not necessarily talking about your house, but the circumstances right now surrounding your life, right? And so what tends to happen a lot of times in life, God will allow you to be in a certain context, raised by a single parent, raised poor. Most of you didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth. Will have you to go through a thing like a divorce, a bad relationship, go through the struggle of raising children or not being able to have children. Context can be so many things. Context will open you up to purpose. And so when you face your context, what typically happens is facing your context, watch this, changes your context. Let me explain. I was born, I'm just giving you an example. I was born poor, right? That's the context. But I face my context. I get organized about that context and I declare over my life that God didn't create me to be poor. I'm going to start businesses. I'm going to have a wealthy mind. I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to get myself together. And so I change my context by organizing and taking action. I'm no longer poor. And because I took action and organized, I changed the context that I was in. But here it is. That may or may not be your life purpose. A lot of times it leads you to your life purpose. So you can't get to purpose until you face what's in front of you, because what's in front of you is like a GPS. What do you got to do for a GPS? First thing you got to do is write or type into the GPS the destination that you want to go. The job of the GPS is to know where you are right now, your context. So that happens automatically. When you put in an address to go somewhere that you don't know how to get, the GPS automatically determines where you are right now. That's your context. And the moment you take action, the moment you organize and put that address in the GPS, the moment you get organized, put that address in the GPS, Siri or whatever the GPS lady is to say, turn right. Pass this light, and when you pass this light, make another right. It keeps giving you what? New contexts to lead you to where? Your address. In this case, your purpose, your destiny. All right? So tonight, I speak over you. I pray over you. I bless you that you will organize yourself, that you will feel some emotion, not emotion where you'll go to bed sad. Now is not a sad night. The truth is coming out. And a lot of times God allows pain so that clarity can exist on the foundation of the earth. That's what's happening, my brothers and sisters. Organize yourself. This is getting ready to be the greatest time in history because you have been chosen to do extraordinary things. So I bless you tonight. I pray over you tonight. I pray over your health. I pray that you're able to be strong in the goals that you have set for 2021. I pray that your mind is able to step back from the emotion. I pray that you're able to see the context that you are facing right now and organize yourself in a way that you are clear about the things that God is saying in your life. I pray that in this season you get so much revelation and clarity that you know without a shadow of a doubt what it is that God has asked you to do. Tonight, I'm praying that God will just bless your mind. I pray for your brain cells tonight to open up. I pray for your heart to develop the energy and the synergy around you that will create an atmosphere around your physical being that will protect your spiritual being, that God will begin to speak to the very neurons that gives you the ability to think, breathe, and move. I pray tonight for complete alignment, that your mind and your heart become in complete alignment, that you come in complete alignment to what it is that God is saying. I believe that what's sitting in your heart is the next revolutionary. I believe that what's sitting in your heart is the next great business. I believe that you're on the verge of going back to school. You're on the verge of writing a New York Times best-selling book. You're on the verge of finding your voice. You're on the verge of writing your greatest hit. You are on the verge of something extraordinary. Somebody on the line tonight is getting ready to find a new love that's going to blow your socks off. God says tonight, open up your heart, your mind, and your heart. Why? Because you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free. But do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. This is Pastor Rodney D. Smith, the senior pastor of the First African Methodist Episcopal Church right here in the heart of the town, Oakland, California, Bay Area. Stand up. I'll see you next Wednesday, same place, same time. Love you.